call of the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
You're listening to Pod at the Palace with Curtis Wilkerson on Inside Arkansas.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday, and welcome back to the Pod at the Palace. I'm your host, Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas, coming to you exactly 1 week out from Arkansas's first exhibition against Cincinnati. Man, is it just me, or has this been the longest offseason, the longest wait for basketball that we've ever had? Is it because of this football mess and the coaching search and all that nonsense that we've just been longing for it more than usual? I don't know, maybe. Is it, portal season wasn't on Eric Musselman level of steroids? Like Cal didn't go out and try to get 9 different transfers, so we didn't have that to kill the time as much. I don't know, but it's long overdue. I can't wait. Exhibition or not, I do not care. And a lot of SEC schools have been getting after it. Auburn lost to a not very good Oklahoma State team that was down a couple starters. It'd be easy to look at that and go, yikes. Georgia blew a huge lead. They barely squeaked past Georgia State in an exhibition. Oklahoma beat Texas Tech in a close scrimmage. Seems like a nice dub. Everyone is overreacting one way or the other to whatever result they've got going on. I bet we won't do that no matter how it shakes out against Cincinnati, right? Or Memphis a few days later. No way. No, we understand, after the Texas debacle a few years ago, and then the Purdue thing, and even Kansas last year. We don't take too much away from these exhibitions. We don't get too excited. We don't get too high. We don't get too low. No way. No. Not us Razorback fans. Rapid Fire Friday today, Freestyle Friday, whatever the hell you want to call it. We're going to bounce around to several different things here today on the show. A recruiting roundup, as promised. We're going to have that for you. We're going to talk about Kentucky basketball outspending Arkansas football in NIL allegedly, and what that looks like for the Hoop Hogs. Joe Lunardi being outside of his mind once again. More lists that we're going to laugh at. So let's just jump right into it and have a little bit of fun here as we head into the weekend. Hey, if you're tired of juggling insurance companies to find the right coverage, hit up OZK Insurance in Rogers, where they make insurance simple again. As a 100% independent agency, they shop the entire marketplace to deliver the best combination of cost and coverage, saving you both time and money. Whether it's home, auto, boat, motorcycle, life, or commercial insurance, their friendly team has access to a wide range of flexible options designed just for you. They serve Northwest and Central Arkansas, including Bentonville, Centerton, Fayetteville, Little Rock, Hot Springs, Springdale, and beyond. So let OZK Insurance be the trusted advisor you never knew you needed. Start today with a free online quote at ozkinsurance.com or call 479-715-4200. It's OZK Insurance, protection made simple. All right. Let's start with the recruiting, since I realize we really haven't had much, if at all, by way of recruiting content here this week. 2 reasons, really. One, I got to be honest with you, I'm just really, really excited for this season to get rolling. So the recruiting stuff for the future has moved down my priority list just a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you. Number 2, though, most of these guys are waiting until spring to commit, with a couple exceptions here. So there's not a whole bunch going on that's new, but we do have a handful of updates and tidbits that I do want to get into. So, I don't know. Let's just kind of work our way down the list through a number of guys here. Jordan Smith Jr., shout out to him for signing the New Balance shoe deal, by the way. Did you guys see that? That's pretty cool. Right away, I thought about, oh, yeah, Cooper Flagg did that right before he started with Duke, right? So I immediately connected the New Balance shoe deal and Jordan Smith Jr. to Duke. And I was like, oh, well, but it doesn't have to be the case necessarily, and in a way, getting a deal like that now kind of makes NIL less important, there's already money in the bank, but, there's not a bunch of New Balance schools out there to worry about with Jordan Smith Jr., just like there weren't a bunch of Reebok schools for Darius Acuff, right? So this is not like a Tay Kenny and Adidas situation that you look at, right? And then you think about, I guess Tyron Stokes did it, but also Brandon McCoy, who they just inked with Nike. And so you look at that and you go, he's probably not going to go to an Adidas school, is he? The problem with that could be that it might make the other factors like, the actual recruiting pitches of, familiarity, proximity to home, things like that more prevalent, which screams Duke. But It's also very hard to argue, I think, with John Calipari's track record of getting talented guards where they want to be. But nothing has changed on that front, right? I mean, see you in the spring. It doesn't sound like he has any intentions of announcing his commitment too early here. Arkansas, Duke in there. He just visited Kentucky, Georgetown, some other schools in the mix. Let's just see what happens once we get into the season. Does he start taking unofficials? Does certain things change once other dominoes start to fall? Does that change things for him? It's kind of where I'm at here, looking ahead with Jordan Smith Jr. The Ratliff twins visited USC this week to hang out on the beach with Eric Musselman. Okay. I think if anyone outside of Big Arafon on Arkansas's list of targets at least were to commit early, it would most likely be them, I think. And so if that winds up being the case, they're going to need to make a trip to Fayetteville here in the next couple weeks if you have any intentions of getting them, right? And I think if that happens, Arkansas is very much a player in the game to land those guys. But until it does, it's kind of hard not to look at yourself as maybe that's tier 1A or whatever by way of contenders here, right? Because hey, if they take a visit, game on. Otherwise, I don't know, probably Bama, maybe. Although I'm not sure that they're all in on getting both Darius and Adonis. And I don't think those guys are married to the idea of playing together, being a package deal for sure. But I imagine they probably will wind up being that way. I don't know about y'all, but next weekend looks like the perfect time for a trip to me. I mean, you got the home exhibition in Bud on Friday. You got a home football game the next day on Saturday for whatever that's worth. But I say, why not have a couple 7-footers hanging out with what could be another 6'10" in Babo Lataton, who, unless something changes, we visiting that weekend as well. That trio would not be able to sneak around on Dixon Street. I'll tell you that right now. Baba visiting Kentucky this weekend, by the way. But, starting to hear more and more with Baba, by the way, that, maybe he would be a little bit more comfortable staying closer to home, i.e. Maryland. But listen, I'll believe Buzz Williams gets a player like this when I see it. So I'm going to be interested to see how that all plays out. Big Arafon. He had Indiana on the schedule for a visit this weekend. I haven't heard a single word about it, but, it's I don't know if that's happening for sure or not. Even if it does, I don't think it matters. I see Houston, Arkansas, maybe Kentucky as the only actual realistic options. I know he's got a top 5. I know Indiana's in there. I know Virginia's in there. I just don't think they're going to get him. Houston gets the last visit next weekend. At least that's when it was scheduled. So you guys know where I stand on this one. He may very well wind up a Cougar, but my intel suggests that this is a much tighter race than many perceive it to be, and that Arkansas has a very realistic chance of getting this one across the finish line. Do not count them out in this recruitment. He rocks with Cal and this coaching staff. He rocks with Abdou Toure. And Arkansas's pulled out all the stops in this recruitment. They literally and figuratively have rolled out the red carpet for him. So this has my attention. And the further along we get here, I almost want to say that, Arkansas is either going to wind up with Arafon or the Twins. I almost just want to come outright and say that. I realize I just did technically, but you're picking up what I'm putting down. But I realize it's not that simple. It's not as simple as an either or, but they seem very motivated to add to the front court in this class. So that it's kind of becoming a growing expectation of mine. I guess I should include Mika Murin in that group as well, but we're not going to hear anything about that for a while, I don't think. So who's it going to be? Guess we'll find out. Brandon McCoy, I would rank his contenders right now as Arkansas, then Michigan, then Alabama. I still think Arkansas leads. I still would have them in the driver's seat. I don't think there's a wide gap between Arkansas and the next guys. But, and what I'll say about Michigan that's interesting here is that McCoy, he's really just kind of the only guy, as far as I know, that Michigan's still recruiting in the 2026 class. Now, they've got a couple on board already, but like Arkansas, for example, they got 2 guys on board, and they're still recruiting McCoy and Jordan Smith Jr. and Caleb Holt and Baba and Arafon and the Twins. And there's a lot going on there. McCoy is clearly the last remaining priority for Dusty May. I don't think Brandon McCoy cares. You know what I mean? But whatever resources they have left over for their high school class will be available for him. Either way, I just don't think that this one comes to an end anytime soon. He's another one where for a minute there I had hope that he might pop early. Everything you see that's out there now is like, probably spring. Yeah, probably spring. Okay. Who else? Providence. Providence went out to see Caleb Holt. I saw that earlier today. Of course, he visited there a while back. We all know how this ends for Kim English. In my opinion, I think Arkansas, Kentucky, Houston, who he hasn't visited yet but intends to a little bit later, Arizona, Alabama, they're all realistic possibilities here. And I still think, based on what I've been told, is that, there are a lot of different things pulling in different directions. We know that he really likes John Calipari, and he's intrigued by that sales pitch. Remember last week about, hey, let's put this big three together in the backcourt. Let's have you rocking with the one and dones. We're bringing it back. That's something that's resonated with him. At the end of the day, I still kind of get the sense that the big bag might win here. Could be Arkansas, maybe. Why not? They got money, but, allegedly that would mean Kentucky, right? I mean, you guys saw that report, I'm sure. Reports out of the Lexington Herald. Okay, the Lexington. This is not Jeff Goodman yapping on his podcast, just throwing stuff out there. This is a local publication. Came out and said that Kentucky's basketball roster costs $22 million in NIL going into this season. That's a lot, man. Like we knew it was we had heard, I guess, at least it was probably the most expensive roster in the country. And people were throwing around that $20 million mark throughout the course of the summer. And, some others came and said, nah, not that much, but, maybe in the 16 to 18 range, whatever. Well, 22 million, that's a lot, man. Like, I hope you get what you paid for, I guess, if that's true. Because I gotta be honest with you, I don't know how motivated I am to believe that. But again, it carries a little bit more weight for me because, right, it's not Goodman, who's kind of notorious for inflating some of those numbers, just saying it out of nowhere. It was sourced reporting in a local newspaper there. So what's crazy to me about this is like it wasn't long ago that we were seeing reporting from On3 about like Arkansas, LSU, and Ole Miss football all having roster payrolls between 16 and 18 million. So all of a sudden we're supposed to believe that Kentucky hoops is outspending SEC football. I have a hard time believing that one, but who the hell am I to question their own reporting? So at any rate, I was reading a story about it. I think it's fascinating. And it does relate to Arkansas and everybody else in the SEC because that's who you're competing against, right? But Jack Pilgrim over at KSR wrote a story, and he said that number is more than twice what Mark Pope's roster was believed to have cost last year, and 5 times more than Cal's last roster at Kentucky that had Reed Shepherd and Rob Dillingham and Justin Edwards and Antonio Reeves and Aaron Bradshaw and DJ Wack, like all those guys on it. A pair of lottery picks, countless 5 stars, 5 times more. Like that roster was an objectively more talented team than what Kentucky's going to have this year. They're very talented. Don't get me wrong, but just look at it. But to me, I think that goes more to show how the cost of doing business has risen so quickly. You know what I mean? But if this is true, good for them. I'll just say, if y'all gave John Calipari the doing less with more title, I can't wait to see what this looks like if Mark Pope ain't cutting down the nets in April. Because that's funny money that they're flexing over there. Now, how this pertains to Arkansas, it takes me back to something that Cal said in his interview with Dan Dakich last week, and we talked about it here on the show, which was that, Arkansas, according to Cal, they're getting everything that they were promised from a revenue share standpoint from the university, and they're happy with that. But that they're still working overtime on the rest, even with John Tyson, right? Because he said that there are 10 to 15 schools who have double the NIL as they do, including one in the SEC. And you hear that at the time, and you're like, all right, even maybe there's 10 to 15 schools that are spending more on their roster or whatever, but double that money, that seems like you might be embellishing a little bit. Well, I can tell you right now that 22 million is, based on what I've been told, a little more than double what Arkansas spent on this roster. And it's a good one. But like, no excuses. Okay. I think Arkansas has just as good, if not a better roster than Kentucky. Now, Kentucky's deeper. I mean, they've got more bodies. They got more options if there's injuries and everything like that. I will give them that. But this is just math, you know. Keep in mind, though, some of the context involved here. I want to be fair all the way around, because let's say Arkansas's roster is between 10 and 11 million, somewhere in that range. Cal is paying 8 guys, all roughly the same, give or take a little bit. It's another thing that he's been very vocal about. He doesn't want one guy making twice as much as somebody else, whatever. So you got 8 guys roughly in the same range, and then 2 to 3 more who are making some, but significantly less. Kentucky, like, they may have overcorrected with their roster build this year with the depth, and like they're paying out at, I think a heftier sum to like 14, 15 players. So what I'm saying is, if we were able to come up with the average NIL per player, I think it would be closer between the two rosters. But I'm still going to start saying John does more with less Calipari every day that Arkansas is better than Kentucky this season. I will milk that for whatever it's worth. That's part of a rivalry. I think it's funny. But in all seriousness, you don't want a financial gap with your direct competition, right? Perceived, real, whatever. You don't want that. Like, if you're a Kentucky fan and your own media is throwing that reporting out there, you can't get salty when folks come at you for it. Like, nobody likes the team that tries to buy a championship, except their own specific fan. You know what I mean? Like the Yankees, the Dodgers, whoever. But everybody else hates them. I say embrace it, which most of them probably do. Hell, I did last summer with the Chicken Man bit, right? Oh, y'all don't like it? Get your money up. and guess what? When Arkansas got hit with injuries and they kind of pissed down their own leg early in the season, we had to sit here as Razorback fans and eat it during everybody else's victory lap. Now, fortunately for us, Arkansas figured it out and they wound up having a great season. Maybe we got the last laugh. I don't know. But I will say this is why it kind of sucks that, Arkansas hasn't really been able to figure out this collective thing. Like we can talk about rev share all we want to, and what they're doing in that third lane, and don't get it twisted. Arkansas basketball lives in that third lane some now, but the collective part of this, it's irritating. Arkansas Edge was just we don't have to get into it. We've talked about it plenty, but the Blueprint Sports thing, Arkansas Edge, is just a disaster, man, from top to bottom. And, I know that there's a fan leg collective that they're trying to get off the ground, which is cool. I think it's a really neat idea. I'm going to be talking with the Pigpen Collective here real soon to learn more, about what they've got going on there. But I also know that it costs anywhere between $1.5 and $3 million to get a single SEC starter on the basketball team. So like we can do our part and contribute and help in a lot of ways. And it gives you a little bit of ownership into it. So, and that's part of the reason why I think it's really cool concept, but you still need the big money to be big invested, right? And it takes more than just John Tyson. That's why, Cal doing, the donor insurance thing, I think is very, very notable. Trying to use AI to learn all the loopholes with Deloitte and the NIL clearinghouse and all that. But like the donor insurance, protect their investment, man. Protect that. Avoid that donor fatigue. Keep them coming back to you, because you're going to need that year in and year out. This stuff is not going away. You know what they might have to do? Here's what Arkansas might have to do. They might have to send Remy Cofield to Saudi Arabia to fundraise, like Mike Lombardi did for North Carolina football in August. That might be the answer. Where's Remy? Everybody always asks that question. He's in Saudi Arabia. Okay, he's trying to get us some of that blood money to buy a championship in basketball. Can't wait for it. Hey, today's episode of the Pod at the Palace is brought to you by our partners at the Eye Center of Northwest Arkansas. Your vision is essential to your quality of life, and professional eye care is a must for you and your family. You guys see me rocking the specs every day. The Eye Center of Northwest Arkansas, that's my go-to. Okay. Their award-winning eye doctors are board certified and professionally active, yet their patients talk most about how caring and friendly they are. Every patient receives the best of new vision care technology plus old-fashioned personal attention. They're able to perform cataract surgery for you before the end of 2025 to make your holiday season in clear view. Refractive surgery for patients struggling with readers, glasses, or contacts. They've got surgery options for everyone. They do Botox, filler, IPL with their aesthetics provider, Olivia Risch, who's been a registered nurse for over 12 years and can get you squared away before the end of 2025. Buy a treatment in advance for your loved one or for your own holiday present. Schedule an appointment today with the Eye Center of Northwest Arkansas at 479-442-2020. You can also check out their website at www.eyecenternwa for more info. Hey, have you guys get your lights yet, by the way? As much as we talk about it, I just assume everybody who's listening to this show has been hooked up by Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas. They will come out. They will take care of you. They have taken care of me. We are now officially close enough to Halloween to where I feel comfortable doing a Pod at the Palace episode in my front yard. I just want it to get a little bit cooler. You know, I want to feel it. I want to feel the fall. I want it to really be spooky season out there. So it's coming. I'm looking forward to it. And you'll be able to see what Walter Christmas Lighting is all about. Sign up for Halloween lights and get 50% off your Christmas lights. That's a pretty good deal. They come out here and they make it easy on you. All the materials are provided, any color, any pattern. They do the installation, the maintenance, the takedowns in January. It's hassle-free. Text our guy Brett for a free estimate today, 479-459-1380, or scan that QR code at the top of your screen. Go like them on their Facebook page. Check it all out for more information today. All right, moving on. I think it's time for our monthly Joe Lenardi has lost his mind segment here in the Pod at the Palace. I love Lenardi. I really do. But interestingly enough, it seems like, you know, for the entire month of February and March, and hell, even in the summer, like we'll pull up his bracketology, right? And we're like, what is he thinking? No way. He's too low on Arkansas. This guy's an idiot, whatever. And this is not even related to bracketology today, although I do want to share his latest. So let's do that real quick because he did update his bracketology after, you know, like Ken Palm came out and the AP poll came out. So you got a little bit more data that you can work with. Okay, fine. But let me pull up. I have Arkansas's region right here. But he only has 11 SEC teams, by the way, in this projection, which is, I say only, that's still a lot, man. But, you know, last season set a new standard with 14. For what it's worth, he has Oklahoma, Georgia, and Texas A&M all in his next 4 out. So kind of right there on the cut line. Arkansas, he's got as a 5 seed out to San Diego, of course. Not Oklahoma City, not St. Louis, nowhere close. But if you had to pick a place that you had to travel to, I'm not that upset about San Diego. I got to be honest with you. So Eric Musselman would have been thrilled, but they would have never done that for him. They send him to Buffalo and piss him off. Looking at the matchup there, the 12 seed against Akron, sure, fine, bring them on. A round of 32 matchup against an Arizona team that can't shoot, sure, I like it. Bring them on. Bring on the champs and Boogie Fland in the Sweet 16. That is if Will Wade doesn't pop them first. How would you feel if you were Todd Golden in Florida and you had Will Wade lurking in the second round? Because we all know, by the way, if you're listening, they have Florida as the 1 seed in this region. And the 8-9 game there is NC State and Mississippi State. Well, we all know Chris Jans and the boys ain't winning a first-round tournament game, so Will Wade's getting through. How would you feel as an Arkansas fan let me phrase it this way. Would you rather see the defending national champion Florida Gators in the Sweet 16 or Will Wade? It's a trickier question than you might think if you really put some thought into it. At any rate, what they got in there? North Carolina is a 6 seed. I don't know, bro. They might get popped by VCU in that game. UCLA a 3. They're going to be sneaky good, I think. Ole Miss in this region has a 10 seed against Ohio State. UConn also in there is a 2. Dang, man. Florida and UConn, the teams responsible for winning the last 3 national champions, you got them in the same region? That's brutal. It's tough, man. 18 games against the projected tournament field for Arkansas. And for what it's worth, he has Cincinnati in there as a 9 seed, and Memphis in there as an 11. So a couple projected NCAA tournament teams that you're going to be playing in these exhibitions. So I've seen worse brackets from Joe Lunardi. I absolutely have. But I'll tell you what I have not seen. I have not seen a worse list of, what is this? The 14 must-watch games of November. So let me pull this up real quick for myself. I won't pull it up on the screen, but I'll share it with you. Yeah, 14 can't miss early season games to watch in November. This is from our man Joe Lunardi. So right away I was thinking, okay, well, we already know Arkansas's got some bangers in here. So I'm like, all right, Florida and Arizona, that's a good one. Bama and St. John's, that'll be a fun watch. Yeah, I'll probably tune into that. Kentucky, Louisville, of course, that's going to be on there. Purdue, Bama, that's great. BYU and AJ DeBanza versus UConn, okay, I could see it. VCU versus NC State, huh? Really? Okay. Kansas and Duke, sure. Georgia and Xavier? What? What are we talking about here? USC and Boise State? It's not football, man. Houston and Tennessee, that's a fun game. Colorado and San Francisco? Ohio State at Pitt? LaSalle and Penn? Yale at Vermont? When did John Calipari become a non-starter for folks? Like, what was it after busting Bill Self and Rick Pitino's asses and showing everybody that he still had his fastball? Taking this Arkansas team to a true road game at Michigan State the first weekend of the season isn't one of the best 14 games of the month? Come on, man. Meeting Duke Thanksgiving night on CBS in Chicago isn't worthy of a precious slot here. I get it. You got a whole country to work with, but you hear some of the games I just wrapped off there? Like, come on, my guy. You don't have to double dip with the Hogs here. I realize that requires a certain level of ball knowing, but you can't leave both of these games off and be taken seriously. Even if you're throwing a few bones to the little guy, I get it. But come on, man. Show us some love here. But since we're on the list subject, people keep putting them out as rage bait, and I'm going to bite because every single day it's something. Let's take this John Calipari quote out of context and write a story about it. Let's fade Arkansas for reasons that we do not apply to everyone else. Like, I get it. Who cares what, whoever has to say? Their opinion means no more than mine or yours or anybody else's. Sure. I care, man, because this is objectively a stacked basketball team that should be getting a hell of a lot more respect and attention than it has been. And Razorback fans deserve something nice to brag about for a change, especially right now. Instead, whether good or bad or fair or not, we're always just stuck doing this us against the world, chip on the shoulder business. I'm sick of battered hog syndrome. I'm so tired of it. Like, this program is ready for the spotlight, and damn it, they need to go shine in it. I'm tired, boss. Like, let us rest from this battle and go fight another one. It's crazy. It's something every day. How the hell does CBS Sports have their 10 top backcourts and 5 honorable mentions without a single mention of Arkansas? What are we doing? What are we doing here? Folks want to know why Arkansas fans feel like they always get shafted or they're hated by the media or whatever. It's egregious nonsense like this. Come on. Based on the criteria here in this article, it's a starting trio of guards. So you're 1, 2, and 3, and they've got positions listed on these guys. Like, it'll be point guard, combo guard, shooting guard / small forward. So all those guys are fair game. So you're telling me that Arkansas, which has some combination of 5 5-stars, 4 of which were McDonald's All-Americans, 2 of which are projected first-round picks in next year's NBA draft, one of which is one of 2 guards in the SEC returning as a third-year starter who averaged double-digit scoring, and he led the league in minutes played. So pick your combo, pick your trio of DJ Wagner, Carter Knox, Billy Richmond, Darius Acuff, and Malik Thomas. And then please tell me more about Florida, who doesn't even have 3 guards to put in a starting lineup. They don't. They're starting Tommy Houck. He's a 4. They're starting him at the 3 because they don't even have a third guard that they're comfortable putting in there. What are we doing? Or tell me more about Alabama, who you have as number 1, with one of the guys you have listed coming off a season-ending injury, and he's not even cleared yet to play. Or Mississippi State. We couldn't even give Arkansas an honorable mention, but you gave Mississippi State their backcourt an honorable mention. Come on, man. And to think a week ago, we were looking at Arkansas as the number 8 backcourt in the by somebody else or whatever. And we were like, oh, man, this is a little bit, it might be a little bit too low here, you know? Maybe included on this list. Like, did you spill coffee on the Arkansas page of your notes? What are we doing here? I don't know, man. Maybe it's just me. I guess the possibility exists that I'm smoking crack, or that I'm just not being objective. And here's another one. Shout out to Nick Pringle. I'm not even going to pull this up, by the way. Shout out to Nick Pringle being 48th and Malik Ewan not even being on a list of the top 50 centers because he's not projected to start according to college basketball alerts or whoever. It's rage bait, man. Like I said, I'm not going to pull it up, but I will just say I spy 14 names on that list that Arkansas will see this season, and then we can just watch these matchups play out and we can run it back afterwards. Good grief, man. Like, I honestly can't tell you enough how much I hope that Arkansas just does what it's supposed to do this season. That way we can come back later and just put a clown nose on a bunch of these jackasses. It's crazy. Sometimes it gets under my skin, man. I don't have to ignore it either. I don't have to play make-believe because I don't fall under the umbrella of anybody else's company line anymore. I don't care. I'm legitimately stunned. I saw another story today that was the AP top 25 teams that won't make the NCAA tournament. I was like, all right, who picked Arkansas? And nobody did. I couldn't believe it. Shocked. Shout out to Auburn and Michigan State, though, for being on that list. The games literally cannot get here soon enough. They really can't. I'm so tired of speculation and projection. Give me some hoops. This time, 1 week from now, we're going to get it. I'm out of here. I'll see you guys on Monday. Thanks for listening. Have a good weekend. Woo pig. Subscribe where you need to subscribe. All those things. It's been Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas on the Pod at the Palace. We'll catch you guys later.